everybody and welcome to Dynamic GT League's GR3EVO Cup for race 6 at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. Before we look at the grid order though, let's check out the current championship standings. Demon R leading the way on 92 points ahead of Mandalorian, who is only 10 behind. And then we have SGP in third place, and quite close to him is Steve F1. Bit of a gap then, but a close battle between Fluffy Planet in 5th, David Harp 6th and Jason 7th. Formula Gary and Groover are both on 34 points, while Bunsell has 30. We then have Silver Shadow 1 point ahead of Rich Blues, and then DGT League SRI in 13th, Conreys 14th, Lewis and Tyler both on 0. And the grid order for race 6 here today is going to be Tyler on pole position, with Lewis joining him on the front row. SRI and Rich Blues are on row 2, while Silver Shadow and Bunsell are on row 3. Row 4 is Groover and Formula Gary, while Jason, last race winner, is on row 5 with Dave the Harp. We then have Fluffy Planet and Steve F1 on row 6, and then SGP and Demon R on row 7. Unfortunately, Conreys not able to race today, and also Mandalorian seems to be away sunning himself on holiday. Ahead of us though is a 40-minute race around the Brands Hatch circuit. Let's see who can be victorious, but before we go to the action, a quick message from the DGT League admins. The time has come for the DGT League GR3EVO Cup from Brands Hatch. Steve, how do you think this one's going to go?
I think it's going to be absolutely epic.
Here we go then, the drivers are ready. Tyler sitting on pole position, the new boy Lewis on the front row with him, and the race is about to get going, and away they go, and it's a sideways start for SRI, but who's keeping hold of the lead?
It looks like it's going to be Tyler into turn 1, but Rich Blues is going wide round the outside, giving SRI plenty of space up the inside, and he immediately loses that place to SRI. What we got is somebody on the background there. Fluffy was a bit onto the grass.
Yeah, so was Bunsell. Bunsell was into the gravel, went a bit too wide around turn 1, but SRI is pressuring Lewis into turn 3.
Steve F1 up to 7th already from nearly the back of the grid. Steve F1, great progress so far.
Yeah, half a lap down, not even half a lap down, he's already attacking to take 5th place, and he does it. That's a lovely move, and Dave the Harp trying to follow him through. Steve F1's title compatriots are still looking like they're at the back. Yeah, SGP in 10th place and Demon R still in 12th. Mandalorian not with us today, so a good opportunity for the likes of Steve F1, but Jason is the next target, and he's the last week's race winner.
Yeah, that was a bit of a mouthful for you there, but you managed to get it out. Yeah, Jason, could he be a strong contender again today? I mean, so far Tyler, not seen much of him this season, but nearly a lap in now, and he's managed to hold his own out there up at the front.
That he is. Lewis, as I mentioned, the new boy, made his debut last week. Tough race for him last time out, and SRI is attacking him, but Lewis covers it off into the final corner. You have to be so careful there though, because if you're going too fast you can end up quickly into the gravel, but SRI's got a decent run on him down towards turn 1. Again though, Steve, it's a difficult place to make an overtake.
It is. It's all of that funny camber on the entry and exit. You can soon find yourself in the gravel or even in the wall on the opposite side. Steve F1 though, getting around the outside of Jason. Can he make it work? You'll have the inside line approaching the next corner. He's done it. What a move there by Steve F1.
Dodgy move there though on SRI.
Yeah, not a great move there. But to be fair, SRI still going, so they both stayed on the tarmac.
Yeah, that they have. But Steve F1, I mean, he's getting his elbows out, and that's something we wouldn't normally see from him. So yeah, I think he's realised he may have an opportunity here. Dave the Harp's got himself up to 6th place. SGP is in 7th. Still no Demon R in the top 8 yet. As I mentioned, Mandalorian not racing today. He's on holiday, getting a suntan through the hole in his shorts, probably. All time. Lewis has run a little bit wide. Steve F1 is up at the inside, heading towards the blind crest of the hill. Lewis trying to push it all the way around the outside. That's a decent bit of driving.
That is decent. It's decent by both of them, not just one of them, but both of the drivers. Nice to see there, Lewis holding him up, but that's closed the whole of the rest of the grid back up to them now, with bringing SGP right onto the back of this train here, and he's going to be wanting to keep with Steve F1, because yeah, Steve F1 here could be taking points away from SGP, and he's not going to want that.
No, he's definitely not. Steve F1 got a decent run, heading down towards turn 1 on Lewis. He's having a look up the inside, but Lewis covers it off. But Steve F1 may be able to get the better exit. He's up the inside. Lewis won't be able to cover this off now. And yeah, Steve F1 going for the move. He's done an overtake around the outside. He's now done a lovely overtake around the inside. But to be fair, the pack isn't really a pack at the moment. Everybody is in sort of single file-ish as they make their way halfway through lap 3.
Yeah, you may have just noticed in the background there as well that Dave the Harp and SRI, a bit of a coming together, allowed SGP to overtake both of them. So SGP now behind Jason. Yeah,
at the moment though, Tyler doing a bit of a Jason from last week, running away up in the lead at the moment. This is cracking stuff from Tyler.
Yeah, he just needs to keep his head in.
Lewis,
in the right place.
Lewis, he's ran wide. He's ran wide. That's not a corner you want to run wide, and neither is this one. Jason's making the move, and Lewis is off. He's into the gravel. Oh, now he's collected a couple of cars, and he's hard into the barrier.
I'm sure Jason knocked him off there, you know.
I wasn't really looking. I was watching, but I wasn't looking, if that makes any sense. SGP, though, he's now up to 4th place, and I know you're going to say it doesn't make sense.
I don't know what you said, so no, it doesn't make sense.
So you were listening, but you weren't actually listening.
I was looking at what was happening on the screen, and what I can tell you is Jason and SGP are going to be fighting out for 3rd place here. Steve F1 is chasing after Tyler. Then we've got Demon R is going to the top 10 now. He's in 7th position, and lovely overtake there on Bunsell. And covering the inside towards the hairpin. Move done, I believe.
Fluffy Planet and Dave the Harp battling in the background as well. Interesting. I mean, Demon R's taking his time. I say taking his time. We're only 4 laps into the race, but he's not got through the pack as quick as everybody else. But could be looking after his tyres. I mean, at the end of the day, Rich Blue's in the background. Spinner, Jamaican dinner.
Yeah, that was a bit of a chicken biryani, that one.
I'm sure that's Indian, not Jamaican.
I don't know, but if I was Jamaican, I'd eat it.
See, he was a Jamaican jerk spinner.
Yeah, Jamaican jerk. Not calling you a jerk. But, yeah.
No, come on. But yeah, Demon R, he's definitely taking his time getting through the pack. But if he's looking after his tyres, it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen. Oh, Jason, he's run wide over the crest of the hill, catches the grass, and around he goes. That's going to be massively costly for him. And Formula Gary may have just got caught out by that, because Demon R is now, I was going to say all over the back of him, but he's not. He's door to door.
Yeah, he's all over the side of him. And who's going to get the better line here, though, up towards the, with Gary ahead, you've got to say Gary's got the better line. But which way is best to go here, on the inside or outside?
Yeah, well, it all depends on the drivers, to be honest. Demon R went for the outside, looking for a switchback to get up the inside for the hairpin, so you could say that's the better line. But to be fair, if you can get somebody defending the inside into turn 1, they're going to be slow, so it can work both ways. Steve F1, though, he's pulled away from SGP, and he's caught up to the back of Tyler. This is cracking stuff. Tyler, we've not seen him much on the camera in these first 4.5 laps. But now he's under pressure from Steve F1.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Tyler in this position, I'd be like thinking to myself, I've done a good first 5 laps, so far. You know, just if Steve's the faster driver, let's just follow him, let's just stay with him, let's learn from him. and you know, let's have a good race by trying to stick with one of the championship contenders.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely looked like he wasn't defending as Steve F1 made the overtake there, so he could be doing exactly what you're saying. But given the nature of this track, it's not easy to follow somebody too closely, because in that middle sector, a lot of the corners, they're blind enough as it is, but they become even blinder because there's a car in your view. But yeah, for Tyler, just sticking behind Steve if he can would be good now, because when it comes to the tyre wear around this track, it's not actually that bad around here from what I've been hearing. I mean, I was seeing that Steve F1 was able to do 20 minutes on the super soft tyres in practice.
Yeah, and I think that surprised a lot of people that he was practicing with. I mean, I can't say for Tyler what his tyre wear is going to be like, because I've not seen him in practice. But doesn't mean he hasn't been practicing, but whatever he's been doing, he's been working. He's still in second place.
Yeah, that he is. Demon R slowly catching on to the back of SGP, and in the background, Formula Gary, he's got bumps all over the back of him. And then Dave the Harper's got Fluffy Planet all over the back of him. And Lewis is right behind Fluffy. No, he's not. He's missed the barrier. But Dave the Harp, he's decided to go for a little trip through the beach. Maybe he saw the women on the back of his car and thought, I'll go and join them.
Yeah, that's called the alternative line around the corner, that one.
Okay, Rich Blues looks like he's sitting in last place at the moment. We saw him have a big spin earlier on, and you know what, I'm wondering if Tyler took a little bit too much out of his tyres early on, and that's why Steve F1 is pulling away at the moment, because Tyler did pull out a nice big gap early on, so it's possible that his tyres have just been punished a little bit too much. Demon R though, all over the back of SGP. I mean, you mentioned earlier, Steve, about Tyler, whether he should just follow Steve F1. Are we going to see Demon R doing the same thing here?
Possibly, but it could come down to strategies, because if Demon R is on a longer stint, he's going to look after his tyres and not try and push. But if he's on a shorter stint, he might want to get him out of the way and burn up his tyres a bit more, because he knows he's going to pit sooner. So for SGP, it could be the other way around. He might be taking his time a little bit, looking after his tyres. So it all depends on what their pit strategy is. Are they going to be pitting on 10 minutes, 13 minutes, 15 minutes, or maybe even like Steve F1, we know we can go halfway into the race. Will he do a one stop here today? So it all depends on what they're planning on doing with their tyre wear. Yeah,
well, interestingly, I mean, Demon R's not attacking. SGP did run a little bit wide in that previous corner, but one way to look at it is both of these guys are currently catching Tyler, so it's possible that these two are thinking, you know what, let's not fight each other, because we're both catching the two cars ahead.
Yeah, and all the time though, Steve F1 is starting to make that gap a little bit bigger. He's starting to pull away from everybody, and he's going to start doing a Jason, as it's going to now be known.
Yeah. Oh, Tyler's off. He's gone wide of the corner. Jason went off earlier, but Tyler's managed to keep the car going in a straight line. He's managed to stay on the track. I wondered if his tyres were going, and that could be proof.
I saw what happened. That was Jason again.
Was it? Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Jason's done well to do that from 8th. Demon R though, he's had a decent run out the final corner on SGP, so side by side they're going to go down towards turn 1, and Tyler is into the pits, and I'd say that SGP didn't really defend that one too hard, so maybe he is trying to look after his tyres. I mentioned it before, sometimes if you're being attacked, let it play out and lose as little amount of time as possible.
Yeah, it looks like they were both trying to look after the tyres, even though with a bit of fair back. They got Jason now. Has he pitted already? I'm not so sure, but he's in 6th position, and we know that he's spun, and he's putting Silver Shadow under pressure. Can he get the move done around the inside of the corner? A little bit of contact. I think that's all fair there. Maybe, I don't know, I'm not a steward, but Jason's got the move done.
For a moment then I thought there was a car spun around, but it's not, it's just the icon in the bottom corner. SGP is still on the back of Demon R, so I think these two are playing it a little cautious at the moment, because, oh no they're not, Demon R's lost it, he's gone sideways.
I think he forgot it then for a moment, that he's racing and not drifting.
Yeah, quite possibly. He does like to do a bit of that. That will not have helped his tyres whatsoever, so whatever strategy he was doing, that may have changed. But I was going to say they were doing the right thing, because they can't afford to let Steve F1 run away. Dave the Harp though, he's all over the back of SRI, and look at this, even, well, I don't mean to say even, but Rich Blues has got himself back into the fight as well, as we're now, 11 and a half minutes into the race, and Demon R, into the pits.
Where's he going to come out? Because Tyler's in 3rd place. Tyler's pitted already and he's in third. So where's Demon R going to come out? Tyler might get the undercut on Demon R here, but I believe he's going to, because I can't even see Demon R yet. Where is Demon R?
Oh, Bonsall going for the move up the inside of Rich Blues into turn
Demon R.
1. Yeah, Demon R's in 5th place behind Jason. Oh, and SRI tacks the back of Fluffy, sends him a little bit sideways, but he's still going to try and make the overtake up the inside now. Dave the Harp's got Bonsall right behind him. Oh, and that's Groover running a little bit wide.
I just want to put something into perspective here. Tyler's first stint gave him enough of an advantage to be able to pit, and he's still running in 3rd place. So that is a great strategy so far from Tyler. Great opening stint.
Yeah, it was. The only thing is, has he damaged his tyres a little bit too much? These two almost look like teammates. I don't think Jason has pitted yet. No, running wide like he did there. I think his tyres are on the way out. Yeah, he's not fighting this. So I don't think Jason has pitted yet. Demon R is still behind Tyler. But the interesting thing there is, that means that Steve F1, when he pits, should potentially come out ahead of the pack. And SGP could as well. But if the pack starts closing the gap, they won't come out ahead.
Steve F1 is now in the pit, so here it is then. This is where we'll find out if the pack's been quick enough to close the gap on Steve F1. I've got a funny feeling it's not been. But Steve F1 is starting to leave the pit lane now. You can see his arrow just about making his way around turn 1. And the pack is only just coming around the last corner, so Steve F1 is back out ahead of the pack as SGP takes the lead.
Oh, Dave the Harp is trying to attack SRI. SRI is trying to defend aggressively. Dave the Harp trying to do a little bit of drifting, and in the background Groover trying to get aggressive on Bonsall, looking up the inside. I mean, it's interesting. It's an exciting battle going on here, folks. The only thing is, it is slowing them all down a little bit as the pack begins to bunch up once again.
Yeah, and it's I mean, this pack is absolutely mental. One moment you've got SRI in the lead, next one you've got Dave the Hart, we've got Bonsall there who could be overtaken, and now we've got Tyler and Demon R as well in the battle. This is for 3rd place. Demon R looks like he might have it around the outside, and Tyler yields into the corner.
That he does, and that's allowed Jason all over the back of him. Demon R, though, he needs to get a shift on because Steve F1 has pitted and is still ahead, so he hasn't had enough of an undercut to catch Steve F1 or pass Steve F1, which is quite interesting, really, because I think it's the 2nd race in a row now where the undercut is just not quite worked out.
Well, it worked out for Tyler, but it's not worked out for Demon R, and I don't know if it's because Demon R was behind Tyler.
It could be because Demon R had the crash on the lap that he pitted, so he could have lost so much time having the crash. SGP into the pit lane, so where will he come out? Is he going to come out? Oh, I thought it was him. Oh, he's come out right behind Demon R.
Yeah, so the undercuts work for Demon R in a way there, so he's ahead of SGP. SGP, will he be happy with that? Probably not, but at least he's ahead of Tyler, and now all he needs to do is eyes forward and watch what's happening in front of him and focus on closing that gap down to Steve F1, probably along with Demon R.
Yeah, definitely. So Steve F1 is trying to open this gap up again, doing the Jason as it is now called. Demon R, a little bit of a gap to SGP. Tyler, he pitted, about 6 minutes ago, so I've got a feeling if he pushes too hard, his tyres could go off again within a couple of minutes, so a couple of laps.
I'm guessing as well that Jason pitted after he had his spin, and that's why he's up here with these other 3 cars, because if Jason had not pitted yet, he would be further back, surely.
Quite possibly, yeah. His tyres could possibly have been on their way out already. Steve F1, though, still leading the race, and he has got quite a gap now to Demon R in 2nd place. These guys getting a little bit spread out, or should I say Demon R and SGP are dropping Tyler a little bit. Jason is still hanging on to the back of Tyler, but Jason is going into the pits. I don't know.
That must be his first stop. Surely that's his first stop then.
I'm thinking it must be. Dave the Harp then sitting in 6th place at the moment with Bonsall right behind him, and then Fluffy, Planet and Groover and Silver Shadow and Rich Blues. Now the interesting thing here, Steve, is so far every time we've been looking back at the pack, they've not been like 3 wide, 3 wide, 3 wide. I mean, is something different here, or is it just the nature of this circuit?
I think it might be the nature of the circuit. The straights aren't quite long enough to get enough slipstream to get up and alongside, or multiple cars up alongside.
Yeah, also it is a surprisingly narrow circuit as Rich Blues having a look up the inside of Groover. A little bit of door banging and Silver Shadow capitalising on that. I think, yes, he is sneaking ahead of Rich Blues. Jason, though, he's pitted, as we saw, and he's come out ahead of this pack. So for him, a perfect situation. For Dave the Harp, though, he must be thinking, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone, guys.
Yeah, he will be. He'll definitely be thinking that. I mean, this is the sort of time you want to just switch off that rear view mirror and just try and focus going forwards. But you can't, because you just know that everyone's going to be trying to get past you. Even if you just know that you're faster than them, they are still going to want to get past you.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of different to this situation at the moment, because it doesn't look like SGP is trying to attack Demon R, and it would be different if SGP had 2 or 3 cars behind him. And as I say that, SGP's looking for the attack. No, he's not, you see. He's backing out of it. He's not looking to attack at the moment. So it definitely looks like SGP is playing the long game, so to speak.
So why is he benefiting by not attacking?
Because he's not losing any time going side by side. But if he had...
both drivers aren't losing time.
Yeah. So if he had 2 or 3 cars behind him, though, then he would potentially have to defend to cars behind, and then he would start losing time, and Demon R would be able to pull away. So it's a very difficult situation when you're sort of at the head of the pack, because the fastest way to get away from people is sticking to the racing line. But there's so many cars behind you that if you do, the door's potentially wide open for an overtake. So SGP still sort of sitting in Demon R's slipstream. Now, this is only of a benefit if both of those drivers are effectively catching Steve F1. Now, we don't have a time gap, but from the looks of it, it's looking about stable, about 7 seconds at the moment.
Yeah, and we'll try and keep an eye on that and see how it progresses. Also, with SGP following, it can be a little bit earlier on the brakes, a bit softer with his tyres, a bit later on the throttle, a bit more gradual, because use the slipstream to benefit the straight.
Hang on a minute, Dave the Harp's ended up at the back of this train. Has he pitted?
Probably not. He probably got hit up the rear.
Oh, right.
No, I no idea. Couldn't tell you.
I couldn't tell you either. But yeah, he is now at the back of these guys. Let's see. So Fluffy leading this little pack, and then Bunsell. Dave the Harp having a look up the inside. He's going to try it on Silver Shadow, and he makes that move. Silver Shadow giving him plenty of room to do so. Bunsell getting a little bit sideways. Having a look up the inside into the hairpin, but Fluffy is just a little bit too far ahead. Dave the Harp got very sideways then. I tell you what, though, there's 3 more cars joining into this battle at the moment, as Dave the Harp is trying to have a look at passing Bunsell. Tricky corner to make the move here as Dave goes late on the brakes, but now he could be slow on the exit, and that could allow Silver Shadow to attack.
Yeah, and that looked like a great move there by Dave the Harp, but Bunsell's coming straight back at him. And but Dave the Harp's going to have the slipstream from Fluffy. That's going to help him into this corner, but I don't think Bunsell's going to want to give it up too easily. And Dave the Harp's still alongside. Nope, now he's ahead. A little bit of slipstream from Fluffy's going to help him. But Bunsell's still there.
He is
still there.
And not only that, Silver Shadow is there, and so is Groover. But Demon R's heading into the pits. He's I'm surprised. That's a very early pit stop for a second stop.
Undercut, is that what he's going to try and do? Try and get as much of an undercut as possible?
Possibly, considering that some of the top drivers, Tyler, also into the pits. That I'm not surprised about. Tyler's done a longer stint on this occasion than his first stint. But yeah, considering that I was hearing sort of 13, 14, 15 minutes these drivers can do on the tyres, I am surprised that he's gone in. I mean, the first pit stop, yeah, fair enough, he'd had a big spin, hurt the tyres, get rid of them. But that second one, I think that's put him onto a 3-stop strategy.
With the gap though between him and the front runners, between the front runners and the pack, is that more like a free pit stop? You can afford to. It
might be, but Bunsell and SRI are battling here at the moment. Oh no, it's not Bunsell and SRI. It's Formula Gary and SRI. SRI chucking it up the inside, and Rich Blues chucking it up the inside of Bunsell. 2 interesting overtakes there. Rich Blues has now got a decent run behind SRI, but now he hasn't got the slipstream. Now Formula Gary and Bunsell have got the slipstream, but there's nowhere for them to go.
I'll tell you what, Rich Blues did have. He had a bit of bump draft off Bunsell. That's what he did have.
Formula Gary just got himself all out of shape by the looks of it there. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but he seemed to lose a position. SRI though making moves as quick as he can, but Rich Blues looking like he's on the offense here.
Yeah, he definitely does. Just looking at the track map, I can tell you that the gap between Steve F1 and SGP, about 4 seconds, that gap is starting to come down.
Interesting. Now, neither of them have pitted on this lap around, which means that they are not covering off Demon R's undercut at the moment. But Rich Blues has got a decent run on SRI, but Formula Gary's got a decent run on Rich Blues.
Yeah, who's got a decent run on SRI. Yeah, they've all got a decent run on each other. This midfield is absolutely amazing. I do love the way they just continuously fight throughout the whole race.
Oh, Rich Blues, he's gone deep. That's going to compromise him. Yeah, that's 1 position lost, 2 positions lost as Dave the Harp comes sneaking past as well. Oh, Rich Blues has gone deep again. His tyres may be cooked.
Yeah, that's the alternative line that Dave the Harp took earlier on. Interesting line around that corner. We've seen a couple of drivers do it already, and I'm sure we'll see a few more.
Dave the Harp and Formula Gary going side by side, but Formula Gary realises he can't hold on to that position on the inside line there, so backs out of it, and nice to see. Definitely still seeing the improvement from a few of the drivers here. Even if they're having a tough race around the track, they might not be too keen on. SRI! He's done the other Jason.
Yeah, I mean, I might have to blame that one on Ericsson this time. Oh dear. But I tell you what, Tyler is amazing to me. I don't know whether the amazement is the right word, amazing, but for saying how little practice he's had or little running in this league, to still be running in 5th place, that's good going from Tyler so far.
Yeah, who's that that's off? Is that Jason? Jason's done a Jason version 3.
Yeah, Jason got Jason.
Oh, in the background! I think that was Groover.
That must have been Groover, and I hope he had protection going into that barrier.
So do I. His sponsors may be around today. Steve F1 then, still leading the race as we can see. But
that gap's come down.
Yeah, SGP's only a couple, he's only a couple of seconds behind him now. Steve F1 is now realising that SGP... Oh, no, he's not! SGP, he's nearly done a Lewis from earlier. Not quite a Jason, nearly did a Lewis. That, all the time he's just gained, has just gone out the window.
And that's just going to help Demon R catch him up even more so. Okay, it's not going to help Demon R catch up Steve F1, but it's going to help Demon R take a massive chunk out of SGP. Yeah. But SGP is surely going to be pitting. That's going to have toasted his tyres big time.
Quite possibly. I mean, Steve F1 and SGP still haven't done a second pit stop at the moment, and Steve F1 has gone past the start-finish line again, so he's going long on this second stint. Silver Shadow, though, he's trying to have a look at Dave the but no, now he's having a look at the barrier, saying hello to those marshals. Thank you for attending, guys. Without you, there's no racing.
That's right. I was going to say something else, but it probably wouldn't be politically correct, so I won't bother.
Is that Dave the Harp? That is Dave the Harp having a look at attacking Jason up the inside towards turn 1 and then switches to the outside. Can he make this work around the outside of turn 1? Jason gives him the room. This is a brilliant fight. It's going to continue up to turn 2 into the hairpin, but Dave the Harp, I think, is just ahead. No, Jason comes back through the hairpin, but now Dave the Harp's got the inside line. Jason realises it. What a battle.
I mean, that's how you overtake, but you can only overtake like that when you've got somebody that is there willing to allow you to race alongside them like that.
Exactly. I mean, if Jason had decided to run Dave the Harp out of road on the exit of the first corner, it'd have ended in disaster. But Jason is still there to fight for that position as Rich Blues in the background having a look up the inside of Bunsell, but I don't think he's going to be able to get that move done. No, he's not. He's going to have to back out of it. Oh, Dave the Harp, he's realised that Jason is still there and applying a bit of pressure, and Bunsell is now closing in on Jason. So after Jason's victory last week, he's having a bit of a tougher race this time. I think there's definitely been more action for him in this race than the last one.
Definitely has. Demon R into the pits. I was just about to say SGP, but it's Demon R. SGP hasn't pitted yet, neither has Steve F1 for their second stop. Demon R's gone in for his third.
He's only been on those tyres for 5 minutes.
Why? Why would he do that? Explain.
Silver Shadow heading into the pit lane. Oh, you know what? I'll have to get my assistant onto that one and see what I can find out.
I mean, the only thing I can think of there is he's got a big enough gap between where he is and the guys behind, and he feels he can benefit from it. I mean, SGP and Steve F1 are still on their second set of tyres here. They've not done their second stop. And Demon R's now done 3 stops. He's on his 4th set of tyres. Yeah.
The thing is, though, I mean, he's done 10 minutes, 10 minutes and 5-minute stints. He can't be going to the end. 15 minutes? He's not even done a combined 15 minutes at the moment.
No, it's confusing me, but we'll have to see how it pans out. We've got Bunsell chasing down Yarson here. Jason Yarson, however you wish to pronounce it.
Yeah, Bunsel's trying to close the gap. So yeah, looking at Demon R, and I am hearing that it was a tactical decision to pit again 5 minutes earlier than his scheduled stop, and the reason for that is he thinks it's the only way he can actually catch Steve F1 to have pitted so much earlier, knowing that Steve F1 has only got one more pit stop to do. So Demon R coming down the start finish straight, and as we look at it, SGP just coming out of the pit lane. Is he going to be ahead? Demon R makes the move around the first corner, and now looking at the gap from Demon R to Steve F1, it's only about 3 seconds. So it was tactical to get a big enough undercut to get himself back into this fight and potentially stop Steve F1 from running away.
So if Demon R had not pitted, he would currently be running in P1, but he would still have a pit stop to do.
Exactly.
So he took that opportunity of taking that pit stop a little bit earlier.
Yes, yeah, takes a pit stop earlier to try to close the gap with the undercut. Groover running a little bit wide as Silver Shadow all over the back of him. Fluffy Planet running in 10th at the moment. Jason, I'm thinking, must have pitted because he's now in 11th.
Oh,
Bunsell!
Coming out of nowhere.
yeah, that was a bit of a surprise, that one, definitely.
I think the stewards need to check he's not taking a shortcut there.
Quite possibly. But that means that Rich Blues is now running in 6th, Groover 7th, and Silver Shadow in 8th place, and Fluffy in 9th. And I'm thinking Fluffy must have recently pitted. Groover, I thought he was going to end up going a little bit sideways there. I'll tell you what, though, Silver Shadow's got a decent run on him, but he's not going to be able to go around the outside. Fluffy now having a look at Silver Shadow. That's well negotiated from those 3 drivers there. Bunsell, though, trying to make the move around the outside of Fluffy Planet and makes it stick.
Yeah, it looked like Silver Shadow was compromised, but not too much, because he was able to hold off Fluffy Planet, but then Bunsell made the most of it.
Rich Blues is going to come under attack here because Groover's very close to him, but so is Silver Shadow. Rich Blues covers the inside. Can he get it slowed down enough, or is he going to run wide? No, he gets it slowed down. Is he going to cover the inside into the hairpin now? Yes, he is. This may be an opportunity for Silver Shadow to sneak around the outside, but Bunsell's trying to sneak around the inside, but Jason's making it 3 wide.
Yeah, Jason's lurking there. He wants to try and get back into a position which he feels he should be in.
Just want to point out as well, Groover looks like he definitely was protected when he went flying into the barrier earlier.
Yeah, definitely had some.
Rich into the beach again.
That alternative line gets them every time.
Yeah, that it does. I mean, one of the things at the moment, let's see, I'm just looking at the track map just to keep people updated. Steve F1 still leading the race. The gap is about 2.5 to 3 seconds to Demon R, who's still got SGP right behind him. Now, interestingly, we haven't seen these two fighting each other throughout the whole of this race so far, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see them fighting each other again, because both of their aim is to catch up to Steve F1, and if they fight, that's not going to happen.
Both their aim is to win the race, not to come second. There's no point in fighting for second place when you want to win and you want to come third.
And as we say that, Demon R actually went defensive as Groover heads into the pit lane, and that's Jason side by side with Silver Shadow. Bunsell right behind them. So these two are going to go side by side into turn 1. Silver Shadow recently pitted, I think Jason has as well, and Jason makes the move, and Bunsell opportunistic as ever. That's a lovely sneaky overtake from Bunsell.
Yeah, beautiful. Well done there. And beautiful Bunsell. And he just needs to try and consolidate that position and keep Silver Shadow behind him. I've got a feeling with the slipstream on this next straight coming up, it's going to be a difficult thing to do. That gap's coming down, that gap between Steve F1 and the 2 following, it's getting smaller every lap.
It is, it definitely is, and Steve F1 did just take a little bit too much curb there, got his car all out of balance. Dave the Harp sort of out of nowhere, now running in 4th place, Jason 5th, Bunsell and Silver Shadow side by side for 6th, Silver Shadow trying it around the outside, and now we're having a look at Groover for some some reason, and now we're back to the action. Silver Shadow still side by side with Bunsell. Nowhere Tyler can go. Tyler must have recently pitted again, otherwise he wouldn't have been in the pack, and this is the first time I think he'll have been in the pack in this race. And we're halfway. Oh, I was going to say we're 30 minutes into it. Holy cow, he was lucky there. Well, not lucky, that was good driving to save that.
Yeah, and if his tyres are new, they might just be able to get away with it. But if they're not new, you might want to go get some new ones.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see.
I don't want about underwear, sorry, not tyres.
Bunsell into the pits. Silver Shadow going for another pit stop. Okay.
Davey Harp into the pits, yeah, loads of pit stoppers. So that's released Tyler and Fluffy beautifully now as Tyler goes up the inside. Nice move. Nice move there, Tyler.
Yeah, once again, though, takes two to tango. Fluffy gave him the space to do so. Tyler now defending. Fluffy's trying to attack. Steve F1 still leading. And yeah, that, I tell you what, Demon R's opened up the gap to SGP a little bit. I'm wondering if SGP has just decided, you know what, I'm just going to back off a little bit. Let Demon R not have to think about me. He'll go faster. And SGP can look after his tyres and catch them up.
Yeah, a couple of laps ago, if you remember saying that it looked like Demon R was defending?
Yes.
That might be because SGP was too close to him and he felt like he needed to, and that might be why SGP's dropped off to say don't defend, just go. And then yeah, it might be one of the reasons why. Yeah, because if you are trying to follow someone and you follow them too closely, if they make a mistake, you're going to get caught up in it.
Yeah. Also, if they start defending, they lose time. You then want to attack. So it's an interesting situation. Oh, that's Formula Gary all over the back of Groover, all over the grass as well. You've got to be careful weaving through this section of the track because it can catch you out big time. So Dave the Hart, we know, was recently pitted. He was in 4th place when he pitted. He's now sitting in 9th place. And I think his target, to a degree, has got to be Tyler. Up ahead as Formula Gary going for the move on Groover, making it stick around the final corner, and Dave the Hart getting his elbows out on Groover as well, and he's got a decent run on Formula Gary. I said his target's got to be on Tyler, and he's getting closer to him.
He is. Is he going to try and go around the outside of Gary like he did with Jason? He's trying, but I don't think he's got quite the speed. He's switched back to the inside, up the inside towards the hairpin. Is he going to have it done? It looks like this might be a nice move. Can he get the power down on the exit?
Yeah.
He does do, yeah. A move complete.
It was vitally important that he was ahead of Formula Gary down the hill. Now, interestingly, for Dave the Harp, it could have been that he was going for the overtake up the inside of the hairpin, but also, Rich Blues, I think, spinning around again. Unfortunately, easy to do in that corner, though. Many a driver have been caught out at that corner with that type of spin. But yeah, Dave the Hart may have been going defensive towards Groover because Groover had a decent run out of the first corner. This is now getting a little bit frantic. Bunsell all over the back of Groover. Formula Gary all over the back of Dave the Hart. Dave the Hart not quite all over the back of Fluffy Planet, but he will be soon. And once again, I feel like a horse racing commentator.
Just saw Silver Shadow there going on the grass a little bit. Trust me, it's not quicker. Keep off the grass, Silver Shadow. The black stuff is quicker.
That it is, especially around this track. Or Bunsell, looks like, is he giving Groover a bump draft? I do know Bunsell likes giving a bit of a bump draft, and yeah, he is. Oh, look at this though.
Oh, look at that though.
Yeah, so SGP's ploy of sort of releasing Demon R to go and focus on Steve F1 has worked. Demon R is now on the back of Steve F1. Now we're in a situation with, 5.5 minutes to go, where Demon R is probably not going to just sit behind Steve F1 like he and SGP have been doing, because he can't afford to, because SGP is going to be on the back of him fairly soon. So, but as soon as these two start fighting, SGP, that 1 second gap is going to become nothing.
Bear to mind as well, with these three runners, Steve F1's got the freshest tyres, Demon R's got the oldest tyres, so SGP's got like a lap in between them, but he's the one that's been following Demon R and probably looking after his tyres. So condition of the tyres between all three, I'd probably say Steve F1's tyres not too bad, but SGP's tyres could possibly be better.
I think SGP will have the better of the tyres. He's been looking after them more. Demon R's been pushing a little bit to try and close that gap and put pressure on Steve F1, and Steve F1 will have been pushing to try and keep the gap. So, I mean, okay, this could be, with 4.5 minutes to go now, I don't think Demon R's going to be going for a pit stop again, so that means it will be a 15-minute stint, but considering the information we had before the race, I think he can do that quite comfortably.
Yeah, it just depends on whether he can do it comfortably, probably when there's no cars around it, but can he make an overtake on Steve F1 with 15-minute old tyres? That's the question.
That is definitely the question. I tell you what, though, he's got a decent run on Steve F1 now in the slipstream, closing the gap. The problem is it's not easy to overtake into these corners, although we have seen drivers do it, but Steve F1 has been a victim to Demon R around this track in a number of different corners, and Steve F1 has been learning about where to defend against Demon R. So sort of positioning his car middle of the road, basically saying, look, there's nowhere for you to go at the moment.
Yeah, and one of the key things for Steve F1 as well is to learn that if Demon R's not going to go for an overtake on you, you do not need to defend it.
Yeah, definitely, because you just lose time. But Demon R is right under his gearbox now. Steve F1 taking a nice wide exit of the final corner, but this could be an attack into turn one. Steve F1, is he going to cover it off? No, he's not. He's basically doing exactly what you said there, Steve. Realised Demon R wasn't going to go for it and stuck to the racing line.
Sometimes I thought Demon R was going to make a move up to the hairpin there, but he's not done. And sometimes the best way of defending is to just take the fastest line through a corner yourself, because if you're taking the fastest line through the corner, how is somebody going to overtake you?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was saying earlier on about how like if you're in a pack it's much harder to do all different lines through this left-hander, though, and SGP taking a very different line. Demon R, he couldn't be any closer on this occasion. Well, he couldn't. He's not been closer than this. He's now side by side, but you don't want to be on the outside into this right-hander, and he's looking for a little bit of a switchback. What's Steve F1 gonna do? And he's covering the inside a bit, but he's middle of the road. That's lovely defending from Steve F1, but it's compromised his exit. Demon R got a run on him, but now we're into the blind crest of the hill. Oh, it's ever so close. You could barely fit a piece of paper between them. I was going to say something really rude then, and I stopped myself.
Yeah, no, or they're battling, you see. This is what allowed now SGP to close right up the back, but Demon R is so close to the back of Steve F1 now. Steve F1 really needs to pay attention to where he's putting his car, because now, probably with 2 laps to go, he needs to start thinking about defending.
Demon R had to look up the inside, went back to the outside. I think he may have even tagged the back of Steve F1 there. So yeah, it's vital. Yeah, Steve F1 going defensive, and he's making Demon R work here. There's no way Steve F1 is going to want to give up the victory or give up the lead here, considering that he's led the race for quite some time. But now, as we both mentioned, SGP is just cruising up to the back of him, and now Demon R, not only has he got to try and attack, he's got to be aware of the defence as well.
Well, does SGP attack and try and, at this point, even if he gets second, it's better than third? Or does he just pray and hope that the two collide and he can win the race?
Well, Demon R is definitely going attackive. Steve F1 definitely going defensive. Interesting, Steve F1 goes defensive again into the second of these right-handers. Demon R looking for a bit of a switchback, but Steve F1 covering it off, taking the tighter line. Demon R, what's he going to do? He's having a look again, but there's no way through there, and SGP is just closing in. Once again, well, he's not closing in, he's still there. He's biding his time by the looks of it. Steve F1's run a little bit wide, though. There's a little bit of contact between the two, and Demon R's off into the barrier. That's SGP. SGP has stuck through to take the lead of the race.
And that's what he was waiting for. I mean, his Christmas and birthday's come at once there. Now he's just got to run away and take the victory. Is this the last lap? Is this victory for SGP? No, I think there's one more lap.
Yes, 23 seconds. Steve F1 though, he's chucked it up the inside into turn one, and he's retaken the lead. Demon R still close, but not close enough at the moment. Steve F1 goes defensive again. For the rest of the drivers, I think their race is going to be over. Yes, it is. They're not going to get to the line in time. So for these three, they've got this lap to complete. For everybody else, they're already on their last lap of the race. So can SGP do anything about Steve F1 as Jason crosses the line to take fourth? Tyler, it's a good result for him to finish in fifth place. Fluffy Planet, he's in sixth, but look at this, he's got Dave the Heart, Groover, Silver Shadow, I think it is, in ninth, Rich Blues in 10th, Formula Gary in 11th, Bunsel in 12th, and SRI in 13th. I don't think we've got Lewis on the track anymore, unfortunately, but SGP is trying to attack Steve F1, and he might have to, if he's going to go for it, he's going to have to go for it soon, because now we're on the last lap of the race. Demon R has caught back up, and you can guarantee he's going to want to make some places if he can.
Yeah, is SGP going to go for the same move that Demon R went for? Is it going to end up in the same incident? He's looking for the cut of the inside, but he can't do it. No room around the outside. Demon R's there trying to say, let me past. I want my position of second place back. And what can SGP do about Steve F1 here coming around the last corner? I don't think there's anything he can do.
No.
Looks like Steve F1 has got this one.
Yeah, so it's close. Steve F1 takes the victory ahead of SGP, ahead of Demon R. Holy cow. What a race.
Unbelievable, Jeff. Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, now we get copyright striked.
I'm pretty sure I saw the checkered flag wave the lap earlier. I'm pretty sure of it. I want to have a look into that. I'm pretty sure as SGP went over the line, there was a checkered flag there on that previous lap.
No. I was trying to work out, hang on, what position was Demon R in at that point. What I will say is, early on, it looked like Tyler had ran away for a victory. His tyres went off. Steve F1, he took the lead, and then it looked like Steve F1 was gone. But to be fair, Demon R's changing of strategies and SGP's strategic drive behind Demon R just really closed that battle up at the end, and to have 3 cars finish that close together after 40 minutes for the win is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, I said it before the race started that I think we're going to have an absolutely epic race here, and I think that's exactly what we saw between those 3. And it's a shame Jason had a bit of a spin early on, because that could have been 4 for the win. And if Mandalorian had been here, well, who knows who would have not finished the race.
yeah, definitely.
But I mean, you couldn't have scripted it any better than that, could you? I mean, incident going into almost the last lap of the race. You know, and Steve F1, you've got to say though, to be fair, he got through the pack early on from doing the reverse championship order grid. He got through the pack early enough, he stretched out a lead, he pitted at the right time, and he won the race. He deserved the well-deserved race win from Steve F1.
Yeah, I mean, that last stint, he would have seen straight away how much time had been gained by the cars behind him, and he would have known straight away he's under pressure. Because if you've got like a 7-8 second gap from first to second, it's very, very difficult for second to catch that gap up. If it's 3 or 4 seconds, the pressure's on. Yeah, because a tiny mistake and all of a sudden that comes down to 2 seconds. And once it gets down to a second and a half, slipstream comes in, and then that gap reduces even more. So Steve F1 was under a hell of a lot of pressure in those last 10 minutes, and considering that this race was hosted on the hottest day of the year here in the UK, I can imagine he was sweating a lot. And to be fair, he only made one error that we saw then, and it was running slightly deep into the left-hander that gave Demon R the opportunity to have a look up the inside. I can't say if anyone was to blame for the contact between them. We'll see if any reports were made, but Steve F1 was still able, I mean, at that point when SGP comes flying past, we'd just been talking about he's probably got the better tyres. After that little bit of contact and the amount of pressure Steve F1 was under, I thought SGP was just going to disappear, but Steve F1 not instantly, but 2 corners later, go for the move up the inside of turn 1.
Was that though, do you think, from Steve F1? I've lost the lead. I've lost the lead. I want it back, and he's gone for it straight away without thinking about it too much. It's just that racer's instinct of, I've lost the position, I want it back, and he took it at the first opportunity. Whereas he could have probably, some people would have just thought, okay, never mind, just take my time, doesn't matter, I'll focus and I'll concentrate on when I'm going to pick him off. Yet before you know it, it's the end of the lap and the end of the race. Yeah. I mean, interestingly, as we saw from when Steve F1 got back ahead, SGP was unable, tried, but was unable to re-attack or get back past. And to be fair, I think a big portion of that is down to the way that Steve F1 defended when he had to during that race. Because, being able to overtake is one part of a driver's repertoire, but being able to defend and still be quick, that is just as important, if not
more important. And it's like you mentioned, it's when to defend. So it's when that car is not close enough so I don't need to bother, or okay, now they're close enough, I'm gonna need to cover something here.
Yeah, exactly. So apart from the top three, rest of the field, Jason finishing fourth, I think. Strong result again for Jason. Tyler though, fifth. Where did that come from?
That's a good result for Tyler. I mean, okay, he started on pole position given the reverse championship grid order, but he made the most of it early on. I don't think we saw him go sideways at one point late on, which compromised him a little bit. But to be fair, when you look at the drivers in the championship, to finish fifth behind Steve F1 Demon R SGP, Steve F1 SGP Demon R, and Jason, to then finish behind them is a good result. So yeah, I think Tyler's had a very, very good race there.
Yeah, and just looking further through the order as they finished in, we had Fluffy Planet, another good result for Fluffy. Davey Art, he seemed to be in and amongst all the battles all the way through the race there in the middle of that pack, but scoring points again, which is good. Groover, 8th place. That's not bad for Groover. It's higher than he has been finishing, so not bad.
Yeah, especially when he's not had a lot of chance to practice, as we've mentioned a few times.
Yeah, Silver Shadow, 9th. He'll probably be thinking he should have been further up, but not too bad.
Silver Shadow's having a tough championship. I think it's fair to say. When you look at the previous championships, he was, I think, battling for sort of 3rd, 4th, 5th in the championship. This championship has been a very tough one for him, and I don't know whether it's the reverse championship grid order, whether it's being unlucky in the battles in the pack, or whether it's because he's changed his name. I guess time will tell, but I can imagine that it's been a tough championship for him. I can imagine he's had a few frustrating races, and this could be another one of those. But having said that, I think it was in the second championship in the DGT League when it was the first championship when raced at the DGT League. I think it was the first race of the championship at Brands Hatch, and Silver Shadow, formerly known as Twilight, hated Brands Hatch and was actually contemplating not racing around there because of not how bad he was around it, but how much he didn't get on with that track. Yeah. So now at least he can come to that track, he can race, he can attack, he can defend, he can get involved in stuff, and every time he does that, he'll get better at the circuit.
Yeah, exactly. And just behind Silver Shadow, Rich Blues. Last race we said he needs to keep targeting 8th place. Do you think he'll be disappointed with his 10th today?
No. In all fairness, no. And the reason I'd say that this time is because we did see Rich have a few adventures during that race. But, as you know, Steve, and as I know, going to Brands Hatch, there are a number of corners where you can very, very easily end up facing the wrong direction. That's turn 1, the exit of turn 2, the exit of turn 3, the exit of turn 4.
Basically all of them.
Yeah. But it's such a fine margin between on the track and facing the right direction and dipping a wheel on the grass or the AstroTurf, and around you go.
It's an old school racetrack where you've got tarmac, grass, or tarmac and gravel. Yeah. There's no tarmac, line and tarmac. It's tarmac and gravel, or tarmac and grass. And if you dip especially with the cars that are rear wheel drive like these are, if you dip a rear wheel drive car onto the grass and you've got the power on, expect it to pirouette.
Yeah, it takes experience to. I mean, it's interesting, when we raced this track in the Toyota SFRs, I think it was, we had a number of people go off at the, I'm not sure what number corner it is, but it's still like the blind over the crest of the hill, third to last corner, right? We saw it where Jason spun a couple of times today. We saw a lot of people have spins in that corner, but when Demon R, he dipped a wheel on the grass on the way into the corner and was sideways but was able to go straight. Now, you commented about him thinking he was drifting, but having done drifting allowed him to instantly know. It instantly picked up my wheels on the grass, so by the time the car was going sideways, he'd already done what was needed to save the car, and that only comes with experience. So that's something that Rich Blues will pick up in time. So for him, 10th place at Brands Hatch is a good result. And that's the thing. Last week I said he shouldn't be targeting higher than 8th because it's Brands Hatch.
Yeah. Okay, some drivers now that might be a bit disappointed with their finishing positions. 11th, Formula Gary F1.
Yeah. He's been having a fantastic season so far. I don't know, I can't remember seeing if something happened to him, but yeah, tough race, or tough result for him, I should say.
And Bunsell, 12th. We saw him in 6th, 7th, 8th so often through that race, finishing in 12th. Don't know what happened towards the end of the race, but it wasn't his day, was it?
I'm wondering if perhaps something happened between Bunsell and Gary, because in a way you could say that they were out of position for how the race was kind of going about.
Well, finishing 13th, unlucky for some, unfortunately, DGT League SRI. And
he just wants pole next week, doesn't he?
Quite possibly, but I don't even think he'll get it because he still scores points by coming 13th. So with Lewis, I do believe Lewis didn't finish the race, so he hasn't got any points from this race, so he might still be on pole next week. But without knowing and without looking at the points myself just yet, I don't know if SRI has got more points than Tyler, or Tyler's got more points than SRI.
Well, with Tyler's,
it'll be an interesting one to find out.
With Tyler's result today, it could be very, very close. And with the result, I mean, one of the things I would say is, well, Lewis didn't finish the race. Unfortunately, he didn't finish the race last week due to having a problem with his shoulder. I'm not 100% certain what the reason was this time around. But what I would say is, it is always, always, always worth continuing. Especially in the DGT League, because there's always the opportunity to catch back up, and that's one of the good things about it. With the boost on, you don't have to push to catch back up the pack if you're at the back.
Yeah.
Drive calmly and the car will go faster for you.
And I'm going to say something as an admin now rather than as a commentator, and that is...
Are you an admin?
I am. And the way we created this league is so that everybody can enjoy it and have fun. I mean, fair fun. And what we want is, even if you finish last, we want you to have enjoyed it. So we don't want to see people that are miles off behind the back. That's why we've got that little bit of boost on and slipstream and what have you. Or getting lapped. So if you have an incident, you've got great opportunity to get back in the race.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to have this. I mean, at the end of the day, we're gaming. We don't want to be spending time sat there and not enjoying it. We want to sit here and enjoy it. It's a game at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And some of us may take it more serious than others.
It's not a game, it's real life.
But, you know, we want to enjoy it. So the way the league is created is there for people to enjoy it. So if you are at the back after an incident, you've got a chance of getting back in there. So don't give up. Keep racing. Yeah. And if you do give up, what are you going to learn from once you've clicked exit? After that point, what are you going to learn?
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I remember. I mean, I mentioned about Silver Shadow and Brands Hatch earlier, and similar. I said similar to Rich Blues as well, in that, okay, you might be going to a track that you don't like, but if at least you do the race and you don't quit and you get to the end of the race, you then have 40 minutes knowledge of that track you didn't have before. So next time you come to that track, you're a little more prepared, and then you do that race and you've now got 80 minutes of knowledge. And that is one of the key things. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head with Lewis there. I can understand anybody getting frustrated during a race, but it's like I say, one of the things with the DGT League and the way the boost works, you can always get back into it, unless it's obviously the last lap. But even then, still go to the end and still finished. But if people do feel like they want to, okay, there's a big difference between, for example, I'm going to use Mandalorian, but not because I'm picking on him, but because it's a very good example. Mandalorian, formerly James Hulkenberg, at Bathurst, in the Toyota SFR was having a very interesting race, had limited practice, and then partway through the race, I don't want to say his head had gone, but the rage monkey took over, and he had a couple of incidents, and he himself realised, okay, I'm driving bad here, I'm dangerous, I'm going to stop. That I commend. I would sort of applaud and say at least he was aware that he was a danger, so he stopped. But it is slightly different if someone's just raging and they rage quit, because in that respect I would say it is only a game. Keep calm, carry on, and learn something, even if it's, oh, I can go a bit slower into this corner and I can come out faster, or if I don't push too hard I don't go off the track, or stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I do think Lewis has practiced a lot for the Brands Hatch race though, so I can imagine that does add to the frustration, but at the same time, in the practice that he'd done, he had improved considerably. So it'll be interesting to see what he's able to do heading into the next race.
Yeah, and talking about the next race, any idea where the next race is?
When or where?
Where?
Well, considering that I happened to do a few laps around it earlier on, Lake Maggiore, West 2.
Yeah, so I mean that's going to be a circuit that's not necessarily well known through the drivers, so that race is up for winning by anybody, in it really, at the end of the day.
It is.
It's not like it's a Monza and certain drivers absolutely love Monza and have driven it for years. It's a circuit that's quite relatively new to everyone.
Or let's put it this way, I was talking to Demonar earlier today, and the only laps he'd done around it was drifting around it a couple of nights ago. So he's not raced around that track, around that version of it. So if he hasn't, there's a good chance that not many of the others have. Yeah,
I mean, this could be another one where we see somebody. Oh, it could be a Tyler, it could be Jason, it could be a Dave the Harp.
It could be a Mandalorian, it could be an SRI. I mean, SRI.
Well, I'm hoping it's not Mandalorian. I'm hoping it's not Demon R, and I'm hoping it's not Steve F1.
Yeah, I could appreciate that, because one of the things with today's result, and I've got to say once again, well done to Steve F1 for taking the victory. Unlucky for SGP, a brilliant strategy throughout the race. But that result well, I haven't seen the points yet, I'll look at those in a moment, but off the top of my head, that result will have changed things up a bit, because if I remember rightly, there was about 10 points from Demon R to Mandalorian, about 10 points from Mandalorian to SGP, and about 10 points from SGP to Steve F1.
Yeah, I would guess now that it's extremely tight between the top four.
And for Mandalorian, this was probably the best result he could have hoped for. Okay, he could have hoped that Demon R didn't finish, but not having Demon R win the race helps Mandalorian in his title fight. Yeah,
definitely. But I've got a feeling this is going to bring Steve F1 right into it.
Yeah.
Steve F1 now is going to be thinking, do you know what? This could be my season. And do you know, it could quite well be.
It could. I mean, there's only 3 races to go, but I mean, what are the 3 tracks? There was Lake Maggiore West 2, as you mentioned. I think Fuji and Monza.
Is it Monza?
Or
have we done Monza?
I don't.
We haven't done Monza yet already, have we?
I can't remember. I don't think so.
Let me have a look at the track list. And oh no, it's Lake Maggiore West 2 next. Then it's Blue Moon Bay Infield A.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
And then it's Fuji Long to finish.
Oh, no Monza? Oh.
We did Monza with
right,
chicane, second race of the season.
You're probably right. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll take your word for it. Obviously, I must have done commentary on it. Yes, that's right, we did, because I was going to stitch James
Mandalorian. Mandalorian was leading
into
right
the
up
last corner.
Into the last lap. Yeah,
that's right. Yes, that's right. Okay. Just before I go and have a look at the race results and stuff like that, I just want to quickly mention that now that that's race 6 out of the way, it's usually around about this time DGT League announces stuff for the following championship. I mean, are the drivers to be expecting any details, or what are you guys up to?
You're asking me, I'm not an admin.
You just said 10 minutes ago I'm an admin.
Yeah. This week the admin have been discussing certain things, and there are just a couple of things that the admin want to test before we make an announcement. But yes, announcements are due very soon.
Is there any teasers that you could give us?
Yeah.
Go on then.
No.
Oh.
Didn't that just tease you?
Yeah, I suppose it did. Okay, and on that bombshell, I think it's time to take a look at the confirmed race results and the championship standings. Taking his first win of the championship is Steve F1. He does like Brands Hatch, and he also likes 20 points. He obviously finished right in front of SGP, who gets 17 points, and right in front of Demon R, who gets 15. Jason did well to finish in 4th, and Tyler very well to finish 5th. Fluffy Planet finished in 6th and gets the 10 points, and he was just ahead of Dave the Harp, Groover, Silver Shadow, and Rich Blues, who managed a good result of 10th. Formula Gary, it's a second 11th place finish for him in a row, and he was just ahead of Bunzel and SRI. Lewis, though, unfortunately did not finish, so doesn't score any points. It'll be interesting to see who can be victorious at the next race, but let's have a look at what that result has done for the championship standings, because I've got a feeling it may have just mixed things up a little bit. So, still leading the way is Demon R on 107 points, and SGP has now taken second place off Mandalorian. SGP with 88 points. Mandalorian is now joined in third by Steve F1 on 82 points. And then it's ever so close for 5th place, as Fluffy Planet has 59 points. Jason, 55 points for him, and only 1 point behind him is Dave the Harp in 7th place. Groover now sitting in 8th place on 42 points, just ahead of Formula Gary on 39 points, and Silver Shadow gaining a position on 35 points and in 10th place. Bunzel only 1 point behind him though, and also only 1 point ahead of Rich Blues, who's now in 12th place. SRI sitting in 13th on 22 points. He has missed a race this championship though. Tyler, with his good result, he's now got 11 points, which means he won't be starting from pole in the next race unless Lewis is not there, because Con Reese won't be able to race next week. So Con Reese 15th, Lewis 16th. Make sure you join us for the next one. It could be very, very interesting. It should be, because the track is a very interesting one. We're going to Lake Maggiore West 2, so make sure you check the video out on that one. If you are interested in joining a racing league on GT Sport, then feel free to find Dynamic GT League on Facebook, drop them a message, and the guys there will give you all the info that you need. Anyway, I've been Dave, thanks for watching, we'll see you all again soon.